Hey guys, we're going to be making a pair cam today based off of a nominal dimension. Now a nominal dimension is just a dimension that is given to you. It's an arbitrary number saying I want to base all of my measurements or all of my dimensions off of this particular number. In this case, we're going to call our nominal dimension D. It's just a letter, a letter, and then we're going to assign it a value. I'm going to say for the purposes of our pair cam, we are going to have our nominal dimension equal to 2. So when we are calculating all of our dimensions, we have to use D is equal to 2. So if we look at our cam up here, we can see that this one is saying the radius is half of D. So in this case, this circle's radius, and we would actually type in the formula 1/2 of D, and we'll tell it what D is. So our radius would end up being 1. Let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to start by making a circle. Now, the first problem we've come across is this circle is being based off of a diameter and not a radius. This is easily changed. While you're building your circle, I'm just going to right click, and the 5th or 6th piece down on the dialog box here says radius. If I click on radius, it's just going to change to radius. You can toggle between diameter and radius at any point in your build. Just know that you can do that very, very simply. Now, I want my radius here to be 1/2 of D. We said D is going to be 2, so we're just going to type in a formula. D, which is 2, divided by 2 is going to be 1/2 of 2. And there it's done the calculation for you. Autodesk will do the math for you if you type it into your dimension box. It's very handy. Our second one is going to have a radius of 1/4 D. So let's make our circle, and we're going to say 1/4 of D, or D, which is 2, divided by 4. Hit enter, and now it has done those calculations for us. Next, because we're making a pair cam, we need to add in a couple of lines, and I'm doing this kind of ugly on one side and nice on the other. Now I need to constrain these lines together, and I'm going to be using my tangent constraint. So I'm going to tangent constraint each circle to each line, both top and bottom. All right. Now I'm going to get rid of this little extra piece right here. So if I use the trim feature and I just hover over it, you're seeing that Autodesk is realizing that, oh, she just wants this extra piece trimmed away, not the whole thing. So it's just from wherever the constraint is till the end. And I don't need this extra stuff in the middle. So I'm going to get rid of those and hit OK. The next dimension we need to specify is this 1/2 D from the midpoint to the midpoint of these two circles. All right, so again, I know that my measurement is going to be my nominal dimension of 2 and 1/2 of that divided by 2. All right, or you could do, if you like, multiplication, times 0.5. Either way, you're going to get the same result. So here I have a beautiful pair cam with all of my dimensions already set in. Last one I need to do is the hole for the axle. So we see that is set at a diameter. So it goes right here in the middle point. So I'm going to switch back to diameter, and I'm just going to put in a hard value of 3 divided by 16. All right, so that's going to make it 3/16. Let's go ahead and finish this, and let's extrude it. And remember, we have to choose what profile we want to extrude. We want to extrude this profile, not the little hole for the axle. Choose on that, and again, the thickness is 3/16, so it's 3 divided by 16, and hit enter. And now here we are. We have our pair cam all done. It looks really great. That's where you could stop, and you could go use this. However, we're going to learn about parametric dimensioning at this point. So the next thing we need to do, and I'm going to flatten this out so we can see it, make it a little bit smaller, bring it down here, is we are going to go to the FX right here, or the Effects Parameters button. Let's go ahead and click that. This dialog box will pop up. I'm going to get it out of our way. And what this has been telling us is, as we've been creating everything, every dimension has a number, D1, D2, D3, so forth and so on. It starts out at 0 and it climbs. And then it's telling us here is the actual dimension that we typed in or the equation that we used. And then here's the value based on that equation. All right, so when we were building our model, and I'm just going to show this to you, if we go and double click on one of our dimensions, you can see edit dimension D1. And then over here, we're going to have dimension D2. And here is dimension D3, what have you. All right, so all of these dimensions have a nice little number associated with them. It's very convenient. It helps us out to know what they all are so we can refer to them. All right, let me finish this sketch and get it back out of the way. So what we want to do here is we want to specify a parameter or user parameter, and we're going to call this our nominal dimension. So we're going to click here on user parameters. We're going to do add numeric, and as we've been referring to our nominal dimension as D, we're going to call it D. We're going to hit tab, and it's going to default to 1. 1 is fine for right now, and it knows that we're in standard, so it puts it as inches, and we're good. So let's go ahead and click done. I want to go back into that because I'm not quite finished yet. So now we've specified what D is. To make all of these dimensions, the D0 through D5, parametric, meaning that they're going to actually be based off of D, we have to change the equation. So look back at our dimension drawing here, and we said that the radius of the larger circle at the bottom is going to be half of D. So we're actually going to change this formula here. And we're going to change it to D divided by 2. And that's half of D. So it's looking at the diameter and it's saying D, which we specified right here, is going to be half of it. And then our nominal value in this case is going to be 1. That's the result of the, actually it's not going to be 1, but that's the result of the equation. It's going to be 1/2 once I hit enter. And you'll notice that it changed my cam. We're not done. I know my cam doesn't look right anymore, but let's keep going. So D1, oh, and let's give this a name. This is the radius, whoops, I can't type, really can't type, of larger circle. You know, make it mean something to you. Now, D1 was the small circle. So I'm going to change that one to D divided by 4 because we wanted it to be 1/4 of D. So divided by 4. It's going to change my dimension to 1/4 of an inch. And then let's give it a name. All right. D2 was the distance between the midpoint of the top and the midpoint of the lower two circles. And again, we wanted that to be half of D, so D divided by 2. Whoops, 2, not 5. All right. And we will call this the offset. And then D3 was 3/16. And we want to leave that at 3/16 because that's the size of the axle hole, and we don't want that to change. So we're going to leave that, and we'll just call this the axle hole. And then extrusion 1 was 3/16. That was the depth of the cam. Again, we don't want that to change if we change our nominal dimension. So we're going to, I'm sorry, we're going to call this cam depth. And then the degrees of taper, we're just going to leave that at 0. Don't worry about what that is. So now, guys, what I've done, and you can still see that my cam still looks like a normal cam. But if I go back up here into my parameters table and I decide, hey, I don't want my nominal dimension to be 1 anymore. I want my nominal dimension to be 3. As soon as I hit enter, all of these numbers are going to change. At least these 3 numbers right here are going to change because they're based off of 3. So watch, I'm going to hit enter, and the results of the calculations changed, and you also notice that my cam got larger. The beauty of this, gentlemen, is that I can build a part and have specific dimensions of that part relative to each other. So I can make the whole part smaller or lower with a single keystroke rather than going in and changing every one of the dimensions. So say you made your box and you measured something and your entire scale was too small, or you just wanted to make a box much, much larger. If you use parametric dimensioning, you could go in and just say, hey, I want my user parameter to be set at 1. Oh, wait, it's too small. I'll set it at 2, and everything will change as a cascade. It's a great way to save you work. It's a little bit of work up front, but it didn't take that long. And then when you're all finished, it's done. Hope this was helpful. We'll be applying the use of parametric constraints periodically throughout the year. I'm teaching you this now. If you're interested in learning more about this in PLTW, it's actually in section 8.1, but I wanted you to know about it now so you can use it while you're building your automata. Hope it's helpful.